everybody right now. But I am here. It is Tuesday. And like I had mentioned on the past Tuesdays, that my focus is to be here with you on Tuesdays and bring you new science and to bring you to answer your questions. So I really want to start with the new science piece here. First, I got to skip through my ads. So this one's really important, and I want us to talk through it because culturally we are all over the place on this particular topic. And the article in the new science that I want to bring to you is on the weight loss drugs. So I'm going to share the science with you that just came out last week. And then I'm going to tell you my pros and my cons that I see with it. And because there's a lot of ways you can go with this topic. Some people are like, they saved my life. Other people are like, they can't get off of them. Like there's a lot of complexity to this trend that continues to gain momentum. So here we go. Okay, so the study, again, it was last week and it was printed in the British Medical Journal. So that's a really, really good, reputable source. And let me get it. I have it on my phone here. And the study says, the title of the study says, most Ozempic users regain weight within 2 years. So let's start with that for a moment and just say, can you put in the comments if you are one of those statistics, just so that we're not here to blame, but we're here to learn, especially here on my YouTube channel. Like I just want us to critically think through all of this health information. So please put in there if you went on Ozempic, you got off and you gained weight. Just like if you could put in the comments, I want to know if you went on to one of the weight loss drugs, you got off and you didn't gain weight, because we're going to talk about both of those. So here's what the study said, is that it was a meta-analysis on GLP-1 agonists. So you got to remember that a meta-analysis is they looked at many different studies. And the authors tracked the body weight of over 9,300 participants on Ozempic, Mounjaro, and other weight loss medications. And they followed the participants' weight loss on these drugs, as well as how their weight changed after they got off the drugs. So here were their big takeaways in watching people get on the drugs, lose weight, and get off the drugs. And here's what they are saying, the authors of this study, 9,300 people. People successfully lost weight while on the drugs. Okay, we cannot argue with that. I would say that for most people, they are going to lose weight when they go on the drugs. That doesn't mean there's not going to be side effects. It doesn't mean that there's not going to be other challenges, but the majority of people, according to the study, and I would say this is what we've seen here too, successfully lost weight while on the drugs. And the authors went on to say that almost everyone reached a healthy body weight eventually. So, weight, you have to always remember with weight loss, it's a protective mechanism of the body. So you're going to have to convince the body, because it's so smart, that, hey, it might be time for you to let go of that extra weight. So when they say eventually, what that tells me is maybe you get on the drugs, you don't lose weight for like 3 or 4 months. It might take that long for your body to feel secure enough to actually drop the weight. Please tell me you're getting this. You can't lose weight in a body that doesn't feel safe. Safety, especially for a female body, is massively important, because if we're not safe, our whole reproductive system shuts down. Our whole metabolic system shuts down. This is where we differ from men. So I just want to point that out, because some of these participants, it took them some time to lose weight, and eventually it says they were able to drop weight. Okay, second thing that this study came back and said was, as soon as the drugs stopped, the weight regain started. The moment you stopped the drug, the regain started. So here's what I want you to know. If you're on the drug, if you're anticipating the drug, these drugs do not fix your metabolic health long term. You are going to have to do that yourself. So you have to look at these drugs like a supplement, like they are just giving you an edge up so that you can start to do healthy lifestyle. And that's what this science, this meta-analysis said, that people gained on average, and this is the part that really scares me, people gained on average 1 pound per month after stopping the weight loss medications. But people, check this out, who were on Ozempic and Mounjaro regained nearly 2 pounds a month. So those two specifically tend to be harder to get off of. The study went on to say, on average, people on Ozempic or Mounjaro return to their starting weight within 1.5 years. Most people in this study of 9,300 people saw no long-term weight loss after taking these drugs. And here were the big takeaways from the authors. The only thing that led to long-term weight loss was healthy behavioral changes without drugs. People who lost weight the old-fashioned way still regained some of what they lost, but much less and at a much slower rate than people who used prescription weight loss drugs. Now, this has been my concern all along, and I'm willing to challenge my own beliefs. I'm willing to be wrong about a weight loss medication, even though I've spent 30 years plus of my career helping women lose weight. I have never, if you listen to my podcast, you will notice I have not brought an Ozempic loving doctor on to talk about that, because I don't believe long-term it is the solution. I have on my podcast brought several people with opposing hormone replacement ideas. And I think that's great, because I do believe there is a place for hormone replacement therapy, but not for everybody. What I am concerned about with these drugs is you go on it, you lose weight, but you have not solved the problem. So I think the first thing you've got is, and this is what this meta-analysis is saying, is I think the first thing you have to ask yourself is, are you going to be on it forever? And if you're going to be on it forever, fabulous, if that works for you. I mean, there's some crazy studies out there showing it changes the microbiome. I've heard so many people say that the food chatter in their brain stopped. Like, these are all really positive. I'm not criticizing that, but they're temporary. So if you are on these drugs, if you're going to use these drugs, I really want to continue to bring you back to lifestyle. Lifestyle is where it's at. And if you pair specifically a fasting lifestyle with these weight loss drugs, okay, now you might have some interesting, an interesting path. I can tell you and here's something maybe to know about me, is when you're watching my videos, do you know that often with medical information, especially when somebody comes out with a big claim, like take this pill and you will lose weight, I'm pretty skeptical in the beginning, because I'm a fan of the intelligence of the body. I think the body's always doing the right thing at the right time. So when I think all weight gain is your body didn't know where else to put this excess hormones, excess stress, excess glucose, excess toxins, excess everything. It just didn't know where to put it. And so it stored it around your belly. And so you get it off by lovingly caring for your body, by feeding your body, not depriving your body, by feeding your body great food, by learning these fasting windows that are not horrible to learn, as many of you are experiencing it, by moving your body. And all the research I've done on anti-aging, we still are at one of the greatest things you can do to prevent cognitive decline is move your body. Like, these medications give us give us some misunderstanding that we get a free pass from lifestyle. It doesn't work like that. So when I first heard about the drug, I was skeptical. And then I started watching friends, family, people are in my Reset Academy, like people around me, everybody was like, yep, I lost weight. Yep, I lost weight. And finally I was like, I would sit with each one of these people and I would be like, please tell me what you're noticing. Is your metabolism speeding up? Do you feel like your heart rate is like you have more energy? So you're moving your body, like tell me. And the biggest thing that everybody said, and I know we probably have some of these people here, is I lost my appetite. Okay. You know where I lost my appetite? I lost my appetite. I learned to not be an emotional eater. I stopped the chatter in my head. And yes, it's easy to look at me now, maybe not see it, but in my 20s, I was 30 pounds heavier. I was on every diet. I was trying everything I could. I wanted to door out. But you know how I lost the mind chatter? How I started to change my relationship to food? Through fasting. Just everything that I teach you here. So I think we need to take a bigger, more holistic view of these weight loss drugs. And if I have a dear friend from childhood, he dropped like 80 pounds. It's beautiful. He's so excited. And there's so many wins like that. That's amazing. And you didn't get a free pass. Just like if you go on hormone replacement therapy, you don't get a free pass from lifestyle changes. So if we can look at medication through a new lens, can we look at it like I've been teaching you to look at supplements, where you take a supplement to be able to supplement, that's why it's called a supplement, to be able to supplement a healthy lifestyle. These drugs, if we look at drugs, whether it's a statin, whether it's blood pressure medication, whether it's HRT, whether it's antidepressant, it should be temporary. And you can course correct with your lifestyle while you're taking these drugs, and then go back to your doctor and have a conversation about getting off the drugs. Now, I do want to bring up a couple of key things that I don't love bringing up, but I think it needs to just be transparent. For starters, you have to understand that the media you are seeing on pharmaceuticals, that the big pharmaceutical companies back the big media players. And so you are going to keep seeing the wonders of all of these drugs, and you are not going to see the lifestyle that fits with these drugs. Okay, number two, for many of you, when you go into your medical doctor's office, they are not trained in lifestyle. Ask them, how many courses in nutrition did you get? How long have you studied movement? What do you know about detox? Your doctor works for you. When you go to a doctor, you're interviewing them to see if you want them on your healthcare team. So if they're like, you just take a medication forever, they don't know the lifestyle solution. So we have to put, they're incredible for diagnosis. They're incredible for saving lives. There's so many great things there, but they're not great at lifestyle. Just have a conversation with any medical doctor. They'll be like, yep, we didn't get trained on that. So if you did go back to your doctor and you're like, what do I do? And they're like, you just stay on the drug. That's their way of saying, we don't have another solution for you. Okay. And then the last thing before I get off my rant that I want to say is Big Pharma has no interest in getting information out into the zeitgeist that you need to eventually get off the drugs. They will become profitable corporations. And I would say here in America, we're really seeing the real upfront and close greed of corporations. They want to keep you on the drugs because they make money keeping you on the drugs. So please keep thinking through for yourself. Now, some of you might be like, it's been a miracle. I have a friend who was like, I listened to her go, you have no idea, Mindy, how much freedom I have in my mind from the food obsession that was in there. And you're right, I don't know what that's like, but I do know what it's like to reach for food on a bad day. I know what it's like to use food as a therapist. I was an emotional eater forever. And I was able to overcome that through a fasting lifestyle. So there's my new science and my rant. And I always want you to take this information and sit it in you and decide if it's right for you. So if you're somebody who's like, I hear what you're saying, but my life has changed, then great, keep taking the drugs. Just have an exit strategy when you decide to get off of them. If you are somebody who is like, I'm on it and I don't know how to get off, I really would encourage you. I got a lot of books for you. Like, dive in to Fast Like a Girl. Let's talk about my baby for a moment. 3 years later, she's still killing it. People are still getting results with this. I looked this morning on Amazon. She's like number 150 on Amazon. She stayed in the top 100 of books in Amazon for over 2 years. 1.3 million people have this book in their hand in one way, shape, or form. That's not because I'm like some amazing writer. It's because it works. That's the only reason this book continues to rocket, is because it works. And what I taught in this book was how to build a fasting lifestyle. So let's build one together. That's what we're here for. And I want you to succeed at it. So don't fall prey to the shiny object syndrome. There are a lot of shiny objects, and there's a lot of people that will be like, let me sell you one of these shiny objects. It's only gonna cost you a couple $100, and it's gonna change your life, and it's gonna be easy. It's not gonna be easy. This is not easy, but it's lasting. This is the only formula for weight loss, building a fasting lifestyle that gets easier with time. The hardest part about building a fasting lifestyle is the beginning. Tell me any other diet that is like that. I don't know any other diet, but the more you play with your fasting windows, the more you play with your eating windows, the more you are going to see how effortless this is. And put in the comments if that's you. So, okay, rant over. I'm going to go to the questions. Let me know if that was helpful. I just really get tired of people trying to manipulate you. And I really want to teach you how to think for yourself. Actually, thinking on the topic of thinking for yourself, some of you may or may not know, I have started a Substack to help people critically think this kind of information. So there are 3 places, if you're resonating with what I'm saying, that you can come find me to start to really think through this information. One of them is here on YouTube. You'll see I just did a really cool video on chocolate that I can't wait for you all to get. And I give you pros and cons, so then you can make a decision for yourself. The second place is my podcast. I'm bringing on experts so that we can listen to the expert for about an hour, and you can hear more content than a 90-second reel. And then the third place is I just started a Substack. Anybody on Substack? So, and on Substack, I'm doing 2 posts a week and a month, and I'm having conversations about my podcast so we can integrate the information in my podcast. We can integrate it into your life easier. So if you need longer content, if you need more nuance, if you need a formula for health, come join me over there in Substack. Okay, let's go into this.
It's taking about a minute for the comments to show up there.
There's a delay.
There's a little bit of a delay for you on there.
Okay.
And this is just on that topic.
Okay.
And I thought this is affirmation.
Yeah. And again, I'm not here to prove myself right. Like, I'm willing to be wrong. So this is great. Kitty Moore said, my sister's been off Mounjaro for 4 months and has not gained anything. Now, I just want to point out that this said it will take 1.5 years for it all to come back. But then Kitty says she's also doing intermittent fasting, mostly eating keto, and still not hungry at all. That's it. Kitty, please go give your sister a hug and tell her that's how you do it. That's exactly what I'm talking about.
And we have another example that'll be popular.
Okay, we have another one. I mean, this is what I'm saying is it's not a free pass. You got to do the work, but these things can give you a leg up on the work. So, okay, next one. I'm waiting. I'm in a delayed zone. So I'm going to read the comments while I wait for the question to come up. Okay. Well, I don't know what to say. I'm gonna pick a comment. Okay, here's one more. Yes, lifestyle and Manjaro. This is from Lita Rivera. I'm well aware the Manjaro is addressing my A1C. Okay, awesome. Not my lifestyle. Amazing. Okay, exercise. Great. Exercise, weightlifting, more protein, vegetables, less processed carbs. That's another round of applause. That's how you do it. So this is what I'm saying is every time you get on a drug and it starts working, ask yourself what the lifestyle match to that is. Let's start looking at drugs and lifestyle as needing to go hand in hand. Now, I will tell you my own ethos on medications is that I always try lifestyle first. It is always do lifestyle first. And if things aren't going the way I want them to go, then I can consider the drug. And the one drug that I did that with was hormone replacement therapy. So I worked all the principles I've taught you in the menopause reset, all the principles that I taught you in Age Like a Girl, whatever I write about or speak about, I do. And I hit a point where I needed something extra, and especially for moods. And so I went in on HRT. But that didn't mean I just gave up everything else. I just brought it in as a pair. Okay? Okay. So this is like the little things that are just driving me crazy. And I want you all to, I really just want you to know you're more powerful than that. Your doctor doesn't hold the power. The big pharma doesn't hold the power to your health. Our administration here in America doesn't hold the power to your health. You hold the power to your health, but it takes responsibility and it takes understanding. And then you'll start, it gets easier. It'll get easier and easier and easier. I promise. Okay. Next question. Hi, Dr. Mindy. Can fasting help alleviate menstrual migraines? Okay. It's a tricky one. Let's talk about menstrual migraines. So migraines are constriction. So usually what happens is that there is constriction that starts them, or well, it goes dilation, then it goes constriction of blood vessels to the brain, then it goes dilation again. So a lot of people who have migraines talk about an aura. That's because it went from blood vessel constriction to blood vessel dilation. And so you're dealing, if we can bring it down to blood flow, you're dealing with blood flow is the issue. Now, for some people, this constriction happens because of food. For some people, the blood vessel constriction happens because of stress. For some people, the blood vessel constriction happens because of lack of sleep. But in this case, she's saying menstrual migraines. So the first question, just to help you think this through, that I would want to know is is there a time of the month that it is? And maybe my team can find out, because this would affect how I would answer that question. Is what time, is it at the same time of month every single time? So because if it was on this is where you can go and use the fasting cycle. Remember the fasting cycle? I put it in both these books. I put it in color in this book. The fasting cycle showed you what hormones were coming in when. So if your menstrual migraine is happening from day 1 till day 15, that in that follicular first part of that phase, then that's when estrogen is building. So we want to play by the rules of estrogen. And my general sense with my menstrual migraines is that they're mostly estrogen related. So what are the rules of estrogen? Estrogen likes you to keep your glucose and insulin levels down. Estrogen loves ketones. Like If I was getting a menstrual migraine at all in the first half, like I'm thinking maybe she might be thinking like the first couple of days of her period, I would start to try to do more of the ketogenic diet. I would take carbs out. I would do protein. I would do vegetables. I would do good fats, and I would intermittent fast 15 hours, because now you're going to switch over and you're going to get ketones, and ketones are going to go up and they're going to regulate blood flow, and the migraine's going to go away. So I'm thinking because you called it a menstrual migraine, it might be in the front half. But if it's a PMS migraine, like in the back half, then we've got to play by the rules of progesterone, and progesterone doesn't like cortisol to go high. So make sure you're not overdoing your workouts or working too hard or skipping on sleep the week before your period. And if all of a sudden, make sure you're eating enough carbs so you can bring glucose up, because progesterone loves more glucose. So we've got to think about how to balance this. Can you see why you have to do your own investigation? Front half of the cycle plays by estrogen, back half of the cycle plays by progesterone rules. Those rules are in these books. So hopefully that helped.
I had something pulled up.
Yeah, I saw that.
Back, so
what was it?
I'm getting back to it here.
It was cortisol in intermittent fasting.
Yes, can you do cortisol? Or if you have
if you're okay, so let's talk about high cortisol. And I'm just kind of curious if you can put in the notes, like what you like. Do you guys worry about cortisol? Like, do you think about that as far as how it affects your health? I'm just kind of curious as a topic. But you have to remember that cortisol comes on the scene when stress is happening. And it could either be stress in your environment, or it could be you're just ruminating on something. Cortisol can also be prevalent in your body if you had a trauma decades ago and your body still thinks it's in that trauma. A lot of times cortisol will rise then. Okay. The body, when cortisol is around, is in a sympathetic nervous system state. When you are in a sympathetic nervous system state, you're in fight or flight. So cortisol appears so that you can run away from the stressor. But for so many of us, the stressor's up here in our brain. So how do we run away from our own brains? That's a whole nother topic. But when your body senses cortisol, one of the major things it does is shut down every other system in the body, and it actually will start to release glucose into the system. So think about it from the body's perspective. You're like the body, you had a stressful thought. It increased cortisol, or you're having stressful thoughts every day. You have a stressful life, and you're increasing cortisol and increasing cortisol. Cortisol is telling your body to move, and you're sitting. You're not moving. The best thing you can do when you start stressing out is go for a walk. Very best thing you can do. So you're sitting, you're nodding, you're just staying in your stress state. And you're like, I feel fatigued, my brain feels foggy, and I feel like I have no motivation. That's one of the things cortisol sometimes can do. So then you're like, I'm going to intermittent fast. I'm going to try and throw something at it to see if the body will lose weight. You have to keep in mind that fasting raises cortisol, just like exercise raises cortisol. So if you know you have high cortisol levels, then you're going to want to do shorter fasts, like 13 and 15 hours or less. If you have a chronically stressed life, let's keep this under 15 hours or less, and there is no white knuckling it. There is only you doing what feels easy. If intermittent 15 hours doesn't feel easy and you're completely stressed out, literally what you're telling your body is, hey, so we're running from a tiger and I'm not giving you any food. Good luck. The body doesn't love that. So we want to have a different relationship with the body. Those of you that were in my 3-day water fast last week, I just kept saying, like, we got to come back into a relationship with our body. Like, if you ignore the signals of your body, if you don't tend to a relationship, what happens? It falls apart, just like your body. So think through, like, if it was mild cortisol, mild to moderate, keep it under 15 hours. If it was severe cortisol, don't fast. Like last year, this came up in the water fast last week. I did 1 3-day water fast last year, and I usually will do 2 to 4. But after my experience with the LA fires, I ran from fire for 3 days. I had to evacuate 3 times. It was incredibly traumatic for me. I was at the epicenter of the Palisades fire trying to get out. And I couldn't sleep. I had crushing anxiety on my sides. The last thing I needed to do was give my body a fast. And the last thing I needed to do was go work out more. I needed to handle the stressor at hand. And so I spent all year working on balancing my nervous system and rehabbing my body and bringing my parasympathetic nervous system back online. And do you know that I just did the 3-day water fast before I guided you all through it? It was the easiest fast I've ever done because my nervous system was so balanced. So just be careful. We're not cortisol stacking. I don't want you cortisol stacking. A little bit together maybe, but not 4 or 5 things. We got to be careful how we treat our body when it's in that sympathetic state.
This question also had to do with low cortisol.
Oh God. Okay. Well, there's high cortisol.
Yeah, exactly. I think there was a lot of people appreciated that. And
okay.
About low cortisol, any contraindications there?
You know, I'm gonna say that I'm baffled by the word low cortisol. Does that mean like adrenal fatigue?
Okay.
That's what I'm thinking, because the body would never stop producing cortisol. If it's adrenal fatigue, let's talk about adrenal fatigue. So adrenal fatigue, just so you know, isn't actually adrenal fatigue. There is a team of organs. It's called the HPA axis. So it's your hypothalamus, pituitary, and adrenals. And whenever you sense a stressor or your brain registers that there's a stressor, what ends up happening is that the brain sends a message down to the adrenals and it says, knock, knock, we got a tiger. We need that hormone. Remember the hormone cortisol that was designed to make you move? We need you to tell the adrenal glands to make the hormone that gets this body moving away from the stressor. And so the hypothalamus sends a signal to the pituitary, which sends a signal to the adrenals to make cortisol. And then the adrenals send a message back up to the hypothalamus and pituitary and says, okay, we're on it. We got it. We're making cortisol. We're getting this person to move. But maybe you don't move. Maybe you're sitting at your desk. Maybe you're sitting on the couch and you're not moving. Where's that extra cortisol going? I taught you all. Come on, please tell me. I taught you all. Where's that extra cortisol going? Come on. I know somebody's going to say it. Where's the extra cortisol going? No, nobody's saying it. Okay. It's going to your belly. It's going to your, yes, somebody got it. Great. Becca Borg got it. It's going to your, now, okay. Travelless life, amazing. You guys got it. It's going to your belly because you're not using it. So it goes to the belly. So then it's not being used in the appropriate way. So the adrenals go back up and they're like, hey, we still got a stress situation. The brain's like still stressed out. And this whole HPA axis just keeps pumping out more cortisol and pumping out more cortisol. And is like, come on, girl, move. Come on, get away from the tiger. Go. The tiger's getting you. But you're like, I don't see a tiger. But the tiger is up here. The tiger is up here. The tiger is here, where you're looking at your environment and you're like, I don't like that. I don't like this. I don't like him. I don't like her. You go here. God, get off your phone. Start following the monks. Anybody following the monks on Instagram? They're walking across our country for peace. That's what we watch. Look at animal videos. But instead, you're like, my boss upset me. I'm trying to lose weight. My marriage isn't working. Okay, let me see what the rest of the world is doing. And then you go and you start scrolling your socials and the cortisol, and then the adrenal HPA axis is like, more. The stress is getting bad down here. We need more. We need more. We need more. And you never turn off your cortisol drip. And then one day your adrenals are like, I can't do it anymore. You kept asking me to make cortisol, and I can't do it. I've been doing it for 10, 20, 30 years, and I'm tired. You're going to have to make your own darn cortisol. That would be low cortisol, because the adrenals start to get overwhelmed by all the signals. And this access, it's not like they're completely fatigued, but this access now gets disrupted. And the hypothalamus and the pituitary is like, hey, wake up, wake up, wake up. We need you back in business, more cortisol. So you have to stop that cycle, which is why I want to lose belly fat, and this is mostly cortisol. So let me go work out 3 times as hard to see if I can lose belly fat. Doesn't make sense. But if we build a fasting lifestyle where we're like, okay, body, I know you've stored some glucose. I know you've stored some cortisol. I know it's around my belly. I really hate it. I know I've been saying mean things to you. I know this HPA axis has been working for like decades now. I'm going to try something different. We're going to play this game called a fasting lifestyle. And here's what it's going to look like. I'm going to fast for 10 hours. I know I've never gone more than 8 hours without food for you, but we're going to go 10 now. And so, and there's going to be a 2 hour where it's going to be uncomfortable, but it's okay, because you have other organ systems and healing mechanisms that are going to kick in. And then after 10 hours, I'm going to open my eating window up, and I'm going to feed you. And I'm going to feed you really nutritious food. I know I've been giving you Doritos. I know I've been driving through fast food and eating fries and getting milkshakes and burgers. I'm not going to do that version of cortisol anymore. I'm going to feed you fruits and vegetables and protein, and I'm going to nourish you with food. And then the next day, I'm going to see if we can go 11 hours. And then when I open up my eating window, I'm not going to count calories anymore. I promise you, body, I'm going to actually start to nourish you with good food and give you all the food that you need. And then the next day I might go to 12 hours, but keep in mind, I'm still going to be able to give you the food you need. I'm going to slow down because I understand the HPA axis is really worn down, and I'm going to let you all take a break because I'm going to stop giving you tiger signals. Does that make sense? Like this is why we have to look at the body in a holistic point of view. You can't lose weight and look in the mirror and be like, oh, I look horrible. I'm never going to lose weight. Never going to be able to do that. I don't know why everybody can lose weight, but I can't lose weight. Cortisol, 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 tiger, 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 tiger. You can't live in a cortisol saturated environment where cortisol signals keep going to that HPA axis saying more running, more cortisol, and then turn around and ask your brain to work, ask your energy to be high, ask your body to release weight. They do not exist. So we've got to bring a holistic point of view to this, which is why I can't just say low or high, this is what you do. I want to give you a framework to think that through. Was that helpful? That like any light bulbs? Let me know if any light bulbs went off. Okay.
You have a bunch of comments about the 3-day fast that just finished, and I highlighted this one.
Okay. So Gina, Dr. Mindy, after my 3-day fast, I noticed that I had an irritation in my upper mouth sore. Yeah. Rashes under my arms and under my breast. It hurt really bad to eat after that 3-day fast. Yeah, candida. Yeah, it could also be like herpes, which everybody has, so don't be freaked out. But anytime you get exposed to a herpes virus, especially the mouth ones, they just go dormant and then they come out. So what's interesting is that you had this irritation in your upper mouth sore and rashes, and that was after your fast, like once you introduced food. So the first thing I would say is, what'd you eat? You might be allergic to it. I'm very curious what you ate, because a rash herpes simplex virus sores, that could be what you ate was a food allergy. So the only way you would know is you could even go into a 24 or 36 hour fast and test it again with a different food and see if you get the same reaction. But that's what that sounds like, is a food allergy to me. It could be candida too. I don't know what your tongue looked like. But and actually it could be candida, because candida and the herpes virus family go hand in hand. So if you were here in front of me and you're like, I ate the best meal ever.
You said it was after she ate. It was before she ate. Rather.
Oh, it was before she ate. Okay. So if it was before she ate, then yeah, it's probably die off of candida and the virus. Candida, just so we're clear, is yeast. It's an overgrowth of yeast. So it's from eating too many carbs, drinking too much alcohol, and eating too much sugar. That will give you candida. So then we go into these fasted states and you're not feeding the candida anymore. And so the candida dies off. And I taught the 3-day water fasters that, yeah, your tongue will start to go completely white, sometimes black, sometimes yellow as the candida dies off. And now, Gina, I'm going to need to add to my list that, yes, that you can get rashes. Sometimes the rashes are itchy. Anything itchy is candida. And then you can also look at those sores that could all be die-off. And when there is an environment of candida in the gut, there are, okay, ready for this one? Okay, there are three viruses that all live in a very similar family. Herpes is one, Epstein-Barr is another one, and COVID is the third. So in my clinic, we were really trying to get people to get rid of their candida and there were COVID ACE2 receptor sites in the gut. We were trying to get them off sugar, try to get them off all the alcohol and everything that everybody was doing that was wrong with their diet, because you were creating an environment in which COVID could proliferate. Just an interesting side note. Okay. What's next?
So this one is from a man who's in the audience. And
okay.
I'm trying to pull it up. It'll pop up.
Okay, we're taking a moment to get all of this up.
It is again about how people can do it in community.
Okay. Thank you, Kathy. I'm looking at this like. That's what I do, why I love doing these videos and these lives, is I want a light bulb to go off, because we weren't ever given a manual on how this body works, and so I'm trying to give you that manual. So I love that when people have like, oh, I didn't think about it that way, kind of moment. That brings me more joy than anything. So okay, I'm still waiting for the question to go up. So here it comes. Okay, Wolfer also did 72-hour fast with you last week. Congrats, thank you. And your fasting cycle helped my wife get her period back. Yes, thank you. So thank you, back on track. You know what, to the men in the crowd, I just want to say I love that you're here. I'm actually starting to get stopped by more men out in airports that are recognizing me, and they're saying this very similar things. They're like, I introduced you to my wife. Thank you very much. So I realize I talk a lot about menopause. I talk a lot about hormones, and you probably have to get through the video to be able to get what applies to you. And I just appreciate you being here. And I'm trying to talk a little more generically these days so we can bring both sexes into it. And a lot of couples are doing this together. The heterosexual couples are doing and dragging their husbands into this. So we're trying to create a community where all are welcome. So thank you. And I love, he's like Guy here. This is great. I've been following you since 2020. And this is great. I love that.
And I just put another comment on.
Okay.
That's the same guy, Wolfer.
Okay. Wolfer also had a sore mouth and other aches randomly after the 3-day fast. I plan on doing another one next week. Next month, my wife will be joined. She feels like she can do it knowing she can have a fasting snack. Yes. And okay, let's talk about what Wolfer brought up. Women need fasting snacks more than men. Now let's go back to primally. Let's think about that. You know, as sexist as this sounds, the men went off for days and days and days needing to go get a big animal kill and bring it back. So they had a longer way to go without food. Whereas in the primal days around the cave life were the pregnant women and the children and the grandmothers. And the grandmothers would go out and forage for plants and bring them back to the pregnant mothers and the children. They didn't have to go without food as much as the one that was going to make a big animal kill. The grandmother, I calculated, went about 17 to 18 hours without food every day, which probably was also what everybody else had to do because she was bringing back food. Whereas the men, the strong alpha men specifically, went to go hunt for a bigger animal kill, but they had to learn how to be without food for days, not 17 hours. So if we now take that whole idea and we bring it into the modern world, I am here to tell you, men will get a quicker result at fasting than women. End of story. It's how it works. And so we need more modifications. We need more adaptations. And these are not failures because your husband can just take his glass of water and just meander along his way, and you're on the ground exhausted and with your brain spinning around, and you don't want to take a fasted snack because you feel like somehow you're weak. No, this is why we have to, in fasting, sort of keep it separate. So Wolfer, thank you for introducing it to your wife, and please let her know that that is a smart thing for her to do. She shouldn't try to have the fasting experience you have. She wasn't built for that. So super cool.
So lots of questions about medication during a fast, and so I just popped this one on the screen.
Okay, so let's talk about medications during a fast. Whatever your medication says, whatever your doctor says, you have to do. So and I think this is really important, when you go on a medication, you have now entered into a deeper relationship with your doctor. And so anything you do, whether it's lifestyle or anytime you want to change that medication, you need to go back to your doctor and you need to make sure that they are aligned with you. Now, you could go back to your doctor and you could say, hey, I'm fasting. Could I take this at a different time of day? And if your doctor has studied lifestyle, they should be able to assist you in that decision. But without knowing your specific case, and I know a lot of thyroid medication has to be taken with food and it needs to be taken in the morning. So here's what I would tell you to do. This is where you do a little bit of nut butter or a half of avocado, some fat bomb, put it in your mouth, take your food or take your medication. And that's just how you do it. That's just your way. I think I told my Reset Academy that I wanted to do a fast last March, but it was only 2 months after the LA fires. And so I got a day into the fast, like I mentioned, and I just started getting all this really heavy heart rate. And I was like, Mindy, this, you know better than to push your body like that. So I switched over to bone broth. And then eventually a day later, it went down, it got better. A day later, I switched over to just carnivore. And I did carnivore all the way up until the photo shoot that I was preparing for. So making modifications to these water fasts, to your fasting lifestyle makes sense. I am not preaching, do this or you suck, which is how I feel sometimes when I look at my fellow health influencers. It's like, come on, we have to stop talking that way. It is okay to make modifications to your fast. It's okay to listen to your body and make some changes that feel supportive. This is what I'm here to teach you, how to do this in the most intelligent way, but do it your way. Don't have to do it my way or the way some other influencer told you they were going to do it or that you should do it.
The one that should be popping up on your screen is right in that same
Okay.
zone. So
I see. When you water fast, should you skip your daily dose of supplements and hormones?
that's the one you just answered.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, let's talk about supplements. Yeah, supplements if you're not going to die without your supplement, and the last I checked, I don't think anybody's dying without a supplement. fine. That's fine. You just skip it and go back onto it. My feeling always is in these longer fasts, you are saying to the intelligence in your body, I'm not gonna disrupt you. You are the wizard here. You heal me. But then you can't turn around and say, okay, but I'm gonna put some B vitamins in there. Oh wait, I'm gonna give you some adaptogens. Like if you give too many supplements, all of a sudden your body's gonna be like, well, I thought you trusted me to heal you, and you're over there still trying to control. So that's kind of the philosophy that I see. I did do here on YouTube, I did do a thing on supplements and working out for 3-day water fast. So you can go look at we have it on a playlist under 3-day water fast. Okay. Next one, I'm postmenopausal, 57 postmenopausal, and this belly. Yeah, I love when we just, we got to express our frustrations. No matter what I do is not budged. So you either exercise more, you starve yourself, or just give up. So this I totally can do. So thank you. Okay, Christine.
Sort of about all the have-tos. Right?
Yeah. So Christine, I first I want to applaud you for not giving up on yourself. I know it's so frustrating when you're working so hard and you don't get a result. So, I mean, this is why I keep telling you all, you don't need motivation. You need momentum. In everything you do, you need momentum. Once you get momentum, like decisions start becoming easier and easier. So be sure you go, we're doing this actually in my Reset Academy right now. It's not too late to join. You can come over there. We're doing a fat burner reset. I'm sure my team will put it in there if that feels good to you. And one of the things that I'm teaching over there is protein pacing. Now, I also did a video here on YouTube, so you can find that, and that's free. Maybe my team will put it in there. But what I have come to this conclusion about belly fat and how to get rid of it. Yes to fasting, all lengths. The longer fasts, the better. So 36, but this doesn't mean you do it every week. It's like, I would do, hopefully you've heard me, and I really want to help her because she's hanging in there with her frustration. Think of like a 4-2-1, where 4 days a week, because you're postmenopausal, you don't have a cycle to match it to. 4 days a week, you do your comfortable fast. 2 days a week, you do 1 meal a day. So just put it at the end of the day, and 1 day a week you eat, but eat really clean. So don't go crazy. In fact, in Age Like a Girl, I love the diet I put in here. It's called the Primal Menopausal Diet. I think it's the smartest diet any postmenopausal woman can do. So check it out in this book. But what I want you to think about is you're cleaning up your food, and you're making sure that you're eating clean. I'm not saying count carbs. I'm not saying count calories. I'm just saying clean. Let's just make it clean. When you do eat your carbs, make sure your carbs come from the earth. So get off the refined carbs, even the fermented breads like sourdough that are actually really healthy. Let's just get you off all refined carbohydrates. So that's how you clean that up. Then you're doing 4 days a week comfortable fast, 2 days a week, 1 meal a day, and you're doing 1 day a week of just eating normally with no fasting. Okay, now we're in a fasting rhythm. Okay, there's something called protein pacing that I've fallen in love with, and it's where every couple of hours you have 30 grams of protein, and it keeps your metabolism stimulated. So remember, when you activate your metabolism, the whole temperature in your body goes up, and so you are burning more calories in that moment. It's just that you ate calories, so you're burning calories. So there's sort of a negative, it doesn't always result in weight loss, which is why calorie in, calorie out I'm not a fan of it. So, but here's what I want you to think about is that protein pace. Whenever you eat, every couple hours, just a little bit of protein here, a couple hours more, a little more protein. They're proving that intermittent fasting with protein pacing is the most efficient way to lose weight. And I've done a full video on some studies on that in here. I'm sure my team will put that in there for you to see. Okay, next, let's go to another one. Eat only in the light. I cannot tell you how important this is. If you try it, just please try it so you can see if you drop some weight and you can get some momentum. You don't have to eat in the light all the time, but you can get some momentum if you try that. So do a week or two eating only in the light, okay? And then another trick that I'll give you is because the belly is where cortisol is stored, is do your workouts in the morning when cortisol is the highest. So go for a walk, do most of the workouts in the morning so you can use that cortisol, not store it. And anytime you have a stressful moment, whether it's an argument with a spouse or it's something at work or you go to your phone and something upsets you, I want you to either go for a walk, do 100 jumping jacks, do 100 air squats, something to engage your muscles so that your body goes, okay, you're moving. Like, if you get up and you just do some squats or you do some jumping jacks, what you're telling your body is, okay, we're running from the tiger. Here we go. Let's go. And it's like using that cortisol, and then it won't store it. During the pandemic, the first 2 months, I was like, what is going on? I was so confused. Half my practice never showed up, even though we were essential healthcare. I was just shocked. And so every time I was like having one of those thoughts in my head, like, what am I going to do? How am I going to do this? How do I make sure that I pay my front desk, who's a single mom? I got to make sure that we keep her employed, but we've lost half the business. What am I going to do? Every time that happened, I went for a walk. I must have walked 5-10 times a day because I was like, I got to use this cortisol or I'm going to come out of the pandemic 30 pounds heavier. So start to get to know those principles, and hopefully that will help.
This is the last question.
Okay. Mira Silva, hopefully I pronounced that right. Dr. Mindy, my question is with regards how to avoid losing hair during my long fast. I just did the 3 day. Yeah. Okay. Let's talk about hair loss. Did anybody else experience that? Because that's common. So the first thing I want to tell you is that's common. So there's a couple of reasons for hair loss, and I want to give you a checklist. So the first, and something to think about, is where is your thyroid at? Your thyroid needs at least 1,200 calories a day in order to function normally. So a lot of people are dieting or they're eating 800 to 900 calories a day. I was working with a celebrity that was having that experience, and I was like, we just got to go 300 more calories. Please go there with me so we can get your thyroid working right. So, but let's say, and I don't know if this is you, but let's say you've been doing 300 calories a day. I'm sorry, you've been doing 900 calories a day, and then you go into a fast. Your thyroid may have already been low. It may have already been tanked, and then you went even lower in calories, and then your hair starts falling out. So make sure next time that you get enough calories before you go into that fast. So that would be the first possibility. You might be sitting there going, nope, that's not me, but it's got to be somebody. Okay. Second thing is that hair loss can be a mineral deficiency. This is one of the greatest things we started doing in our Reset Academy that I'm really excited about, is we started adding in Beam minerals into all of our 3-day water fasts. The reason I like Beam minerals is because they come from the earth and they have the right profile of minerals that you need to be able to think straight and that you need to be able to keep your hair in your head. If you lose enough minerals and then you go into the fast, you're going to be mineral deficient. Just like I was explaining, you would be calorie deficient. So one thing we have to keep in mind, depending on where you live, is if you are getting food from a monocropped commercial farm, you are not getting enough minerals in your food. I did a video here on YouTube on nutrients. I'm really hoping you all watch it. I know you guys like the drink these 3 things and your life will change videos, But when you see the nutrient one, I really want you to hear it through because it's got great information, and it's really talking about how we are eating food that's 50% less minerals in it than decades before. So if we're not eating from a regenerative farm, if we're not getting enough minerals, just like if we're not getting enough calories and we go into a 3-day water fast, we could tank the thyroid and we can bring minerals down so low that your hair starts falling out. So that could be number 2. Now, number 3 is a little bit harder one, but a lot of times when you go into autophagy, when you go into these longer fasts, you also stimulate something called apoptosis. Apoptosis is where the intelligence inside the cell realizes that this is a really bad cell and it has a lot of heavy metals, typically it's heavy metals, inside the cell. So we're going to go ahead and kill it. When heavy metals go circulating out of your bloodstream, they can attach to hair, to molecules, hair follicles, and they can cause your hair to fall out. We did so much heavy metal detoxing in my clinic. I would see just from heavy metal detoxing people that their hair would fall out. As the metals were going out, their hair was going out, but then all of a sudden beautiful hair, and even in a different color, would come in. So it's either low calories, low minerals, or high heavy metals. And it could be one of all 3. So there you go. Okay. I just want to thank you all. I love coming here to you. And I appreciate your questions. I appreciate your desire to be healthy and to take over your own health. Those of you that don't know, my new book, Age Like a Girl, is out. We've been getting great reviews. If you've bought it and you love it, please go review it. Well, whatever, if you just review it so that others can really understand the power of this book, because there's a lot of really big ideas in here. If you want to talk health philosophy with me a little more, come find me on Substack. It's my new favorite playground, and I'll be in there having deep discussions, not discussions like this where we're answering more clinical, action-oriented steps. But if you want to come over to Substack and talk about my podcast with me, you want to talk about some of my YouTube videos with me, you want to see what I think and what I'm writing right now, I'm over there playing around, and I'd love to have you join me. And most importantly, please don't give up on yourself. If you feel like you're out of answers, please come back to this information. I want you to understand how powerful you are. You were designed to heal. You were designed to be the weight you want. You were designed to love your body. And if that's not the case, there's a lifestyle cure for it. I really promise you that. So don't give up. Okay? Deal? Great. With that, peace out.